Good evening, everybody, live in Crystal Falls, Michigan at the Iron County Courthouse for the trial and lawsuit of Laura Frizzo versus David Thayer, Iron River City Manager. This is day 6. This is the 6th day of testimony in this case, and I'm just gonna go with it. It's chilly out here. We've had a late ending to the trial today. Anyway, hopefully you had a chance to see my noontime report on Facebook, or you've been watching the other 1 through 5 days that I've been covering this. Today, the city clerk of Iron River took the stand, Rachel Andreski. She's 6.5 years city clerk. She was acting city manager between the former and the current city manager. And I've got probably 40 pages here to go through, so you're just gonna have to bear with me. I might be skipping across a lot of stuff pretty quick, so let's do it. She has a clear view of David Thayer's desk. The door is mostly open. The entrance is past her. We are talking about the bitch incident. She's talking about how there's a large window on the door that even closed, she can see into it. And they skip away. They're asking her what does she think about the city manager, and she talks about she's the closest co-worker to the city manager. He describes him as quirky, and I want you to pay attention to that word, quirky. Remember this about 20 minutes from now. Remembers him as being quirky. He had a blank look. He showed no emotions. Not sure if he hears you. She says that he has a good working relationship. The door is always open. If you have a problem, you can just come in and talk about it. However, she did say that it's pretty much his way or no way, that you could come in and discuss the matter, but unless you agreed with what he said, it wasn't going to fly. He said he doesn't open up a lot. He just has this blank look on his face. When David was hired, he came into the city council meetings and removed all of the binders that were on the agenda. All the different departments would bring in binders of how their departments are doing. David knocked that out. He said he didn't want any of the department heads approaching the council, that it was up to him to do it. She talked about being overwhelmed taking minutes, that David made her start taking minutes for all sorts of different commissions, different meetings, and basically did things that he said he would be unable to do. She did say she's an at-will employee. I had previously said in a video that she was an elected member of the city, but my bad, I was wrong. She is not elected, as in a county clerk would be. She says Laura was the only one fired, and she never saw any difference between male or female interactions with the city manager. As an acting city clerk, would you testify against your city manager? Would you stand up against your boss and testify? What would you say to your current boss sitting in front of you at a lawsuit? A lot of her testimony involves things the city did, what he did. They were like high-fiving each other, and they talked about the great job David did, all the paving projects he did, all the houses they tore down, the website he took over. Squirrel! Just like that, just look over there, nothing to see here. Like what he did for the city matters anything after what he did to Laura. The city clerk herself put in a letter of resignation, but withdrew it, and suddenly I believe she had an increase in benefits and an increase in other stuff, like she fought for her job or wanted benefits, and she got it. She stayed there. She's still working there today. When David came in, he wasn't as we expected. They kept talking. Nobody knew how to read him. Nobody knew the blank look on his face. Nobody understood the way that David came across, that he was just, that nobody just knew what he was like. Talked about Christian, the treasurer, quitting. She actually resigned. She testified that Christian actually had concerns about instructions from David, but she said she left for another job at the hospital. She said it had nothing to do with miscommunications or issues with David, but she was merely just taking another job. Another person who apparently quit was Jean Ann Upperstrom. She was the accounts payable, and according to the city clerk, was only a temporary position. Also talked about some other temporary positions that they purposely filled to bypass paying off any benefits to full-time employees, insurances, things like that. So if you could hire somebody for 20 hours a week, you don't have to give them insurance. A male treasurer quit. Apparently that was the only other person that quit. Their testimony on that wasn't really good, considering she said, quote, "We're working friends," unquote, between her and the city manager. She says Laura threatened to expose private conversations, says Laura asked for help to get the manager fired. Complained about space used by Laura. Absolutely took offense to Laura, and in my opinion, she's really standing up for the city manager. Of course, that is her boss, so again, why wouldn't you? She no longer spoke after June, July, period. I don't know what that means. She denies that he ever told Laura anything about David. Denies. I'm getting lost in my own notes. I'm just going to skip over it because there is a lot to go over. A whole day of testimony with 3 or 4 different people. It was a lot to cover for handwritten notes, let me tell you. They went over cold case stuff again. I don't think that really matters a whole lot to this case because that really was before David Thayer. They talked about the mayor asking for a special meeting under the previous manager, and that he quit. So basically, the city police chief is under the pleasure of the city manager. Well, the city manager works under the pleasure of the city council. And when the former manager realized the city council wanted to question him about his performance and job activities, he quit. Just up and quit. A week later, he tried to come back and get his job back. The council voted, no, you do not get your job back. That was it. And after that is when David Thayer was brought in. As Rochelle recalls, a couple with a death certificate, the people with the death certificate in the basement, we remember talking about in the police station, talking about that, where Frizzo apparently screamed at them to get out or something. There were witnesses there that heard it. Anyway, she couldn't remember and had to look at notes, which I find funny because she recalled all sorts of stuff before that, not needing any notes. She describes how the couple were upset, saying the old lady was crying. And she kept talking about other things that happened farther back, but she had no problem remembering that stuff. She testified that Laura only worked 80 hours every 2 weeks. But Laura's a salaried worker. She only gets paid for 40 hours a week. So it would make sense that she was paid for 80 hours every 2 weeks. She's a salaried worker. She doesn't get overtime. The bitch incident. She says he hung up the phone first and then said, "That bitch." However, she does agree using the term bitch towards a female employee is wrong. She agrees to that. She talked about how Laura was wearing pink slippers. She actually thought Laura was wearing pink slippers because David had laughed about it. When she asked Laura about it and told him what David said, Laura confronted David outside that day, and he got in her face to the point that the city clerk sent Laura a message going, "How did his breath smell? What did his breath smell like?" So he literally got right up into her face that far away, and she had to back off, and he walked away. I mean, if that's not intimidation, I don't know what is. You don't have a right to treat your employees like that. You do not. Said she saw David, pointing his finger at her, told her to sit down, but she did not witness the hand part, but said she was dealing with somebody else at the time and wouldn't have seen it. Said David said to her that Laura was emotional and crying and having outbursts and that she wasn't fit for the city. Although she doesn't believe gender had anything to do with it. Under cross-examination, Rachel puts documents into Laura's file, says she isn't involved in her discipline, but files reports on her. So the city clerk says, I'm not responsible for Laura's employment. It's not up to me whether she has a job or not. It's not up to me what happens with her job. But she writes her up and puts those records into her permanent file. If that's not being involved, I don't know what is. Any other employer, a coworker can't write up somebody and put that in their personal file, can they? That's what she was. She was a coworker. She wasn't a boss. She wasn't a department head. She was a co-worker who was writing up people and putting in their permanent records. Rachel admits she would not be a good witness for David about Laura's involvements with the public because she never saw them. Rochelle says the former manager never followed through, yelled all the time, and was an alcoholic, which impacted his work because he would try to discuss work matters while drunk. That's the past manager. That's the one that is gone. City council called the meeting. The manager quit. Rachel told Laura on a regular basis that she loved her. Just standard texting back and forth. You know how you say to a friend, love you, or see you later, whatever. That's what she's doing after some sort of fight or disagreement they had. Rachel was aware Thayer's last job was 2010 before Iron River hired him in 2015. She acknowledges that she knew David Thayer had been terminated from his previous job 5 years before Iron River hired him. City workers were concerned about him being fired from his former city. She says she got along with David. Plaintiff cites the deposition. During her deposition, she said, I haven't had any issues communicating with Thayer ever, but in the deposition, she said, we didn't communicate well at all. Plaintiff asks the city clerk if she ever complained about Thayer. She said no. However, she did go to the Holiday gas station and would often talk to the manager there, which she said she talked about the manager being sexist and talked about how Laura was going to get the shaft. But she denied ever talking to anybody about the manager. Was having issues with Thayer when she wanted to quit. Management, miscommunication, not listening. That were some of the reasons she wanted to quit. But they had to sit down and she decided she wouldn't quit. Testify, says she heard Thayer say that bitch. It was she never documented it though. She documented everything Laura did, but she never documented anything that Thayer did to her. She again agreed that words should never be used. She witnessed Laura screaming on the street, saying Laura was yelling obscenities. She looked out the window, heard another girl, and they saw Laura just cussing this guy out and said, oh my God, what's happening? I can see Laura. She's mad. She's yelling. What she didn't know is that Laura was dealing with a suspect who had chased a victim into the police station, threatening his life, and Laura was dealing with this man outside. That's what they were watching. Laura has a right to swear. Every police chief across the country swears. If you think that a male police chief can swear and say the F-bomb, but you think that a female police chief shouldn't say the F-bomb because she's female, that makes you sexist. Think about that. If you allow male or a man to say the F word, But if you frown upon a female saying it because she's female, you better look at yourself a little closer in the mirror. Can you guess what time it is? That's a real bell. That's pretty cool. That's a real bell. Anyway, we talked about the pink slippers, how I already told you that, how they got really close into her face. And she actually questioned Laura whether or not she could smell his breath. That doesn't even matter. Testifies she never saw what happened in the office with the hands on the shoulder event because she wouldn't have seen it. Testifies that you don't argue with Thayer because what he wants, there is no discussion. Had no say in the matters. Talked about the gag order and how it was a violation of speech and how it was a violation of statutes, but she didn't understand that. She had nothing to do with her employment, but again documented and filed reports about her. Let's see. Mayor Tarsi took the stand. Mayor Tarsi, what a douchebag this guy is, let me tell you. Mayor Tarsi, I hope you watch this and you find out that I'm talking about you like this. Because the way that you lied to the citizens in your county or in your city, that day you stood up at the council meeting and you swore to God that you had no recollection of David Thayer's previous employment. And then you sit in this courtroom today and you testify that you knew full well that David Thayer was fired from his last job. And you knew full well that David Thayer was going to be fired from his previous job. And you know full well that David Thayer had a bad history. But yet you stood up in front of your citizens in your city and told them that you had no knowledge, that you ran background checks, that we did everything that we were supposed to do, but you had no knowledge of that. Or how about Mayor Tarsi, how you told your citizens in your county or in your city that now, you know, let's just read on, because this mayor shit, that guy is just a bunch of shit. I mean, straight up lying. Just, oh my God, there's so many lies that this guy got caught for today, that not necessarily lying in court. He may have told the truth in court, but he's been standing in front of the city of Iron River for a long time telling lies that we found out about today. 30 years of the city, no involvement in the firing. We weren't getting along. Says that he tried to say that Thayer wanted to meet, that Laura was the one that wouldn't meet, that Laura was the one that was denying this sit-down meeting, when in fact it was Tarsi, when it was the city attorney that was refusing. Thinks she was fired for insubordination and no communications. Meanwhile, Tarsi's on the stand chewing gum, asking a question, tucks it in here, answers, keeps chewing gum. I was seriously waiting for the judge to say something to her. He testified that he sees David twice a week because as a mayor in the city, he does not have an office. He doesn't have a regular position. His only job is he is head of the city council. That's it. That's it. Well, except for that he signed Laura's contract, not the city manager. Oops. We'll get to that. Previous manager didn't follow through. David does what's asked. He says he never gets visits from employers. He never gets visits from employees, so he feels the manager's doing a good job. He says the treasurer quit. Testifies. Charter says, he testified that no visits from employees, basically because the charter says employees may not approach the mayor over issues. Testified the charter says employees may not approach the mayor over issues. So if you had an issue with the city manager, you could not go to the mayor or the council. You had to bring it up with the city manager, no matter what. The mayor said that Laura did a great job with the Kelly Cochran case. He said she didn't come to me many times, not too often, and that sometimes the mayor even confided in her about different situations with the city. Laura never told anything or said anything bad about what David had said. Apparently, they weren't really talking that much, according to the mayor. Relationship between Perry and Frizzo, the former city manager, difference in opinion. City manager runs the PD how he wants to. Tarsi says Laura wasn't campaigning to get the manager fired. Was not. Defense tried to get Tarsi to testify about hearsay, but it was objected. Talking about some interaction in the garage with Laura, says Laura went over to the mayor's house to discuss something. The mayor said that I was afraid to talk with her. We were in the garage. 3 doors were shut. 1 door was open. I felt threatened. Mayor said he felt threatened by the police chief just for talking. There was nothing being said. Nothing was being yelled. Talked about the open door policy he had, but said he was afraid to be alone with the police chief. The mayor said Laura assumed chief duties, pulled the police together. She was important to the case. She put us on the map. She put Iron River on the map, Tarsi told everybody. Tarsi couldn't sit. He had to actually stand a few times, looked very uncomfortable. We talked about the mayor that was signed, the contract that the mayor signed, not the city manager. The city manager never signed her contract. She was employed by the city under the direct supervision of the mayor. In this letter, in this contract, it talked about having reviews every 180 days, every year, and how she never got those reviews, she never got those raises. The contract was being violated. They asked the mayor what happened with this contract, and he said, well, David Thayer should have wrote another one, but he didn't. But he said that's not his problem. That's not his problem because, you're gonna love this one. The mayor signs a lot of stuff, but rarely ever reads what he signs. He testified today that he signs so much stuff, but he doesn't read it. So anything that the mayor's signature on that he wrote, he won't stand by it. In fact, the contract, he won't stand by it. He says it doesn't matter what the contract says. She was working for the city manager. The city manager had control of her contract. Even though the city manager never made a new contract. Technically, that contract was legal and binding, signed by the mayor himself. No city manager was ever involved. Maybe it was an overlook on their part. It doesn't help right now. Oh, let's see here where we at. He was looking to David I could see him on the stand. He was looking at David trying to get answers like, dude, what's going on here? What am I supposed to say? What do you mean you didn't remake a contract? Because he was so confused about this contract and how there was a bonus in the contract that he says he never read. He wrote the contract, he came up with the contract, he signed the contract, and then he testified that he didn't read the contract. And that he doesn't read any contracts that he signs. He just puts his signature on it, including city work. Kept making faces. He was so mad. Oh my God. He was mad that people were asking him questions about the city. In the actual contract for Laura, it has a job description as submit monthly reports to elected officials at council functions. Now, apparently, David Thayer told her to stop this practice, but it's in her contract. You see this, right? Thayer advised Laura to stop. Employment contract was not amended. Thayer said he was going to eliminate the stuff in the contract. He said it. Tarsi said, but he said it. He said it, so it's fact. He eliminated that stuff. But they never tore up the contract and signed another one. Just word of mouth. Does that work in legal systems, do you think? Contract was never changed. Talked about he doesn't look at contracts. He signs a lot as mayor, but he never reads it, quote unquote. He doesn't know if he read it. Tarsi got the shit-eating grin when they tried to object to something and they let it in. But anyway, quote, charter doesn't allow any employee to go past manager for complaints, unquote. Except for in the charter, it does. In the Iron River City Charter, it does allow employees to go over the manager's head. It's right in the charter. Also in the charter is the fact that the city manager can be investigated by the council. The council has the power to investigate any employee of the city, including the city manager. Tarsi on stand tonight declared he had no knowledge of that. That's new to him. He's been for the city for 13 plus years, had over 20 years of service to the city, but he never knew that he could investigate any employee, including Laura Frizzo, or the city manager. Has said he had no, it's not true. It's not there. And yes, it is, sir. It's right here in your own charter. Mayor said that as a public person, you have a right to come into a council meeting and say your word, but as an employee, you do not. That as an employee under the city, you cannot come to a council meeting and voice your concerns. You must go to the city manager. The city manager must bring that concern to the council, but you're not allowed under a U.S. free speech as a citizen, as anybody else, when you're not employed by the city. You may be a city employee, but you're not a city employee 24 hours a day. When I'm at home working with the whatever, I'm not a city employee then. I'm not going to get into all the city charter stuff, but that's just straight up lying. Yeah, mayor didn't even know his own charter. Mayor testified that Laura could not come to the council. Now Laura was trying to get her name on the agenda. If you watch my videos of the council meetings back there, you'll see her. She came in, she wanted to get on the agenda. The manager said, no, absolutely not. Mayor said, if you want to be on the agenda, we'll put you on the agenda for next month. We'll get you in here then. Next month rolled around. It wasn't on the agenda. And again, they failed. They would not listen to Laura. They would not listen to a word she said. Here's the interesting part. All you guys that are from Iron River and that you were attending those meetings or you watched all of the nonsense go on during those 3 meetings, I just totally lost my train of thought there. I guess we'll get to that again. Man, I don't know where the hell my mind just went. I'm cold. Thinking about my fingers are freezing. Gosh, where the hell is it going to go with that? Oh, so do you remember the evaluation of David Thayer? We are going to do a evaluation of David Thayer as his very first one. We are going into closed session to discuss David Thayer's evaluation. They went into a closed session to discuss David Thayer's evaluation. The mayor testified today they did not talk about David Thayer's evaluation, but in fact talked about how good of a job Thayer did in firing Laura. They discussed the entire time about Laura after she had been fired. They did discuss the entire time about how well of a job Thayer did in dealing with Laura and firing her, and then came out of that closed session and said, our evaluation is done. They never did an evaluation. He even admitted in court today, no evaluation was ever done, which means that was a violation of the Open Meetings Act, which somebody could technically get in there and sue them just for that alone. Think about that. This Mayor Tarsi, I have witnessed Mayor Tarsi tell people to sit down that if he doesn't believe in what you're talking about or he doesn't agree with what you're saying in front of his council, he will make you sit down. You do not have the right to talk to the Iron River City Council unless it's true. And the mayor will decide if it's true. He decides if what you're saying is true or not, because if he believes that what you're saying is true, you will be told to leave. Fact. Fact. Yeah, she testified. Former manager had no issues with alcohol. Mayor said the former manager had no issues with alcohol. Sometimes he had a beer. But then when he said, but in your deposition, you said he was a drunk and he was always drinking, the mayor said, I did? Oops. I'm sorry. I guess I did. My bad. City clerk actually raised the alarm and admitted after catching it in the line. I mean, the city clerk even saw it, and the mayor's like, nope, wasn't a drinker. Really happy guy, but wasn't it? Oh, well, yeah, he was a drinker. He liked to drink, but just a little bit. Just a big bottle, but just a little bit. He was mad that anything was being, like, he was being caught in so many lies. Like, he couldn't remember what he said in his deposition to what he was testifying today. Like, seriously, back of your hand, back and forth. Like, he couldn't get his story straight. The guy's a mayor of a city, and he can't even lie without getting it wrong. I mean, seriously. Oh, God. Mayor says the council can't make the manager do their job, but they must do it. I can't make them do their job, but they have to do it. That was his thought about the manager. Like, I can't reprimand him. I can't tell him what he's doing is bad. I can't do anything. He just needs to do his job. Tarsi kept getting upset. Former city manager didn't do his job, was poor at it, drank a lot, but he never got fired. He quit. Thayer kept refusing to put Laura on the agenda. Laura was never allowed a chance to defend herself. The mayor confirms no meetings ever took place. He thought Laura was the one that was refusing these meetings. Turns out it wasn't. It was Thayer that was refusing. He testified that Perry did have drinking issues and problems, but he doesn't quite remember about everything. Other than they gave Perry a chance to come back and defend himself on getting his job back, but Laura never got that chance. The mayor, again, didn't know they could investigate any employee, including the manager. Apparently, Laura's attorneys today just told him that. I guess he just learned today. Today, he just learned he can investigate the city manager or any employee. He didn't know this. The mayor didn't know this. What a great guy. Really, really good guy. You know, good old boy. You know what I mean? And he really is a good old boy. You know exactly what I mean by that. Like I said, the first session was a closed session. The evaluation of Thayer was a closed session, which was illegal. You couldn't do that. They lied. They straight up lied to all those people in that room and said we're doing an evaluation, when in fact they weren't. They were lying. If I recall right, I believe they even acknowledged that. Like, Laura's attorney, Polich, at the time said, you're not even discussing this. This is what you discussed. They didn't want no part of that. Doesn't know how the city council would evaluate the manager. Said that he did a great job at hiring Laura. But she did a great job at Laura. She fired Laura. He did a great job. Did a great job for the city, firing Laura. We went into a break. Direct questioning today, asking, okay, I want anybody from Iron River to please answer this. When you hear it, answer this. Have you ever experienced or seen any employee of Mayor Tarsi, Mayor Tarsi's son, or Mayor Tarsi's grandson? They both own construction companies. Has either one of them ever worked for the city on tearing down a house, tearing out a street, tearing down something and hauling it away? Because Mayor Tarsi swears on oath that his son and his grandson has never, ever gained any contracts from the city. It was a lie, because I've talked to 3 people after this court case, who said they saw his relatives, his grandson, his son's trucks at these homes, demolishing them. Unless maybe they worked for free. Maybe his family is so great that they worked for free. I mean, that would be okay though, wouldn't it? Let's see. Performance city manager report document shows how Thayer handled Frizzo. Tarsi denies it had anything to do with Laura. Yeah, they were talking about the performance report, how they went into do the evaluation, but the mayor even admitted that that we were supposed to go in and do an evaluation of Thayer, but in fact, we never even talked about Thayer. We only talked about Laura. Only talked about Laura. Open Meetings Act. Remember? Open Meetings Act violation? Yeah. Open Meetings Act there, buddy. Good old Mr. Mayor. Quote, only talked about Laura, did not do evaluation of Thayer. We went in for an evaluation, though. Unquote. Thayer wrote an article for the newspaper, which he quoted Mayor Tarsi and then published it without ever talking to Tarsi. Please tell me what kind of city manager writes his own articles for the newspaper? I've never heard of this one before. I mean, you're writing your own article for the newspaper in which you are quoting the mayor as saying something when you've never talked to him. Tarsi was aware that Thayer used the word bitch, but he doesn't seem to care. Doesn't know if Thayer can be disciplined. He does agree that you bitch or any use of the word bitch would be wrong. He says he investigated it, but that Thayer told him that he was sorry. So it was all good. Everything's good. No problem. He called Laura a bitch. That's okay. He told me that you're sorry for calling her a bitch, so it's all good. Don't worry about telling her you're sorry. Don't worry about telling the other people who heard you say it that you're sorry. Just the fact that you're telling me, that's enough. That's good. All good. So Thayer was never disciplined for that. Tarsi says he never heard of the last meeting with Laura and Thayer because it never happened. Also never heard of the pink slipper incident. Thayer told the council in private his side of the story. Laura never got any word on that. She was never on the agenda. She was never allowed to talk at any council meetings. Even after she was fired, she was not allowed to talk at a council meeting. Everybody has that right. Anybody has that right. You cannot tell me I cannot talk at your council meeting. I have that right. I don't even have to be a member of your city. I have that right. Oh, gag order. Mayor saw the gag order. Didn't know it'd be issued. Had no discussion with the manager before the gag order was issued. Didn't know that the gag order was a violation of freedom of speech and it violated constitutional rights, it violated state statutes, and ultimately it was taken down. It did say that any discussion with Laura would result in a write-up to any employee of the city. Admitted that he knew Thayer was fired. Again, after standing up in front of the council and telling the citizens of Iron River that I had no knowledge, that I did not know about his previous employment, that we did background checks and everything came back fine, admitted today he was lying then. He knew damn well he was fired from his previous job. A female employee, I don't remember, her name is Amanda Tewksbury. Amanda Tewksbury. She's a Iron River employee. Do you remember at the beginning of the video when I told you to remember that word? Do you guys remember what was that word I told you to remember at the beginning? Remember I said remember this word. I'm going to come back to this in about 20 minutes. I'm going to give you a minute and think about what that word was. Anybody? Come on, somebody post below. I'll give you a hint. It starts with Q. I'm not having a cigarette, so whether you want me smoking, I don't care. Quirky, that's right, Ben. Quirky. I'll get to it. Quirky. Thank you, Ben. My fingers are frozen. I'm really cold. It's freezing out here. No, I'm not homeless, as somebody asked. Quirky. That's right. All right. So the next female employee took the stand this afternoon. The very first word out of her mouth to describe David, he's quirky. The very first description that she used about her city manager after the city clerk took the stand earlier today, she also said he is quirky. Quirky is a really quirky word, isn't it? I mean, when was the last time you heard the word quirky? When was the last time you heard two separate people use that same word talking about somebody in a court case. He's quirky. They were not supposed to be talking about this case before. They were not supposed to see each other before this case. And I seriously believe that this Amanda chick and this city clerk got together, sat down, and discussed this case before they came to court. Because the fact that they both used the exact same word, quirky, to describe the city manager, I don't believe in coincidences. I don't think things happen by accident. I seriously think that was a quirky move on their part. You like how I use that? This girl Amanda says she witnessed David Thayer using the F-bomb. And like the lawyer was like, wait, what? Did you say he used the F-bomb? And she's like, yeah, David used the F-bomb. And they were like, well, that couldn't have happened because David just people testified that David told them he didn't use the F-bomb. He didn't use the F word. He didn't believe in using the F word. In fact, when other employees used the F word, he told them not to because it wasn't the right word. But David apparently uses the F-bomb, and that's okay, though. No communications with Laura is what this Amanda talked about. So she didn't witness any communications with Laura, so she really couldn't stand up for that. She never witnessed Laura talking bad about Thayer, not once, this other witness that stood today. And she says she heard Laura swear in the police station with the couple in the police station that were there for death certificate. The city attorney, the city clerk, and this Amanda said they heard Laura swear. There were two people in the police station at the time that testified they never heard Laura swear. But it comes down to, again, does a police chief have the right to swear? Does a police chief have the right to raise his or her voice to make somebody listen? How many police chiefs in the United States or anywhere in the country have you ever known not to swear? How many of them have never said the F-bomb when defending themselves or trying to take control of a situation? And again, if you believe that a male police chief is allowed to use the F-bomb, but a female police chief is not because she's female, that's what this whole case is about. This is what this is all about how you perceive double standards, how you treat a man different than a woman, what you think a man should do versus what you think a woman should do. So that's really what this case is about. And day 6 is over. So my cigarette went out. Did you notice that? Why don't you guys tell me my cigarette went out? I'm sitting here smoking like nothing here. Anyway, let's go back and read some comments because I did skip by a whole bunch. And I do see a few trolls here in the room tonight. Welcome, trolls. I appreciate you all. Anywho, 40 minutes, 43 minutes now doing this video. Big thank you to all you guys for watching in right now. Ken can come back later. He says his battery's dying. Iron River is just like its neighbor. Are you stalking the homeless? Jay asks. Yes, you know it. I'm looking for the homeless right now because, they're out here in the snow. Star Jay, he must have got bored stalking the homeless bums. Yeah, that's absolutely right. I went out to the lake today and I was digging through the ice and drilling through ice. I couldn't find any homeless bums in the ice or in the snow igloos that they've been living in. I don't know. Also, the panhandlers here in the snow in front of the courthouse that I've been watching all day, they can't write on the piece of paper because it's so cold outside. That's for the troll. Stupid, right? I mean, come on. Mayor and staff, who cares? Buddy, if you don't care, get the F out of here. Blah, 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 blah. See you later, buddy. Super chat. Hey, somebody just donated $10. I will get to that just a second. Thank you for that donation. I just saw it pop up. Youpers love Jason. Yeah, that's right. Ben, I'm hoping to be in Crystal Falls tomorrow for some of this. Thank you, sir. Come on out. Enjoy it. I think Thayer will be taking the stand tomorrow. Just hire Cochran to get rid of Thayer. That's funny. That's funny, Zucrates. Zucrates says, just hire Kelly Cochran to get rid of Thayer. Ben says he's about an hour away. A lot of travelers seem to be running out of gas in UP in December. No, actually they don't. Nobody runs out of gas in December. We only see panhandlers during the summer, and it's at a short amount of time during the summer, and then they leave because they drive here, they get what they want, and they go. Ben says, I have a lot better beard than Jason. Do you do? Do you, sir? Send me a picture of my Facebook page. Let me see that. I'm just scrolling by these things. I'm stalking trolls. Stalking homeless panhandlers. I don't know why these people are hooked on this. You know, I only have like 8 panhandler videos out of 1,900 total on YouTube, and these trolls are stuck on it. I mean, honest to God, and I'm not even joking, I make probably $600-700 on YouTube every single month just off my panhandling videos. So that's not a job. I pay my rent from panhandling videos. Eat that. All right, well, let me see. Amanda84, $10 super chat. Amanda, thank you so much. Yeah, I think I've only gotten, I think I got $10 one time before on a super chat on a live video, and I was kind of shocked. I didn't even know you could really do that. That's pretty cool. You know what I mean? Janelle says, Bill just... oh, smoke down the throat. Anyway, Amanda, you enjoy my videos. I do. Thank you a lot. And anyway, I got about 35-minute ride home from here, so I've already done 50 minutes live stream. That pretty much concludes day 6 here in Crystal Falls, Michigan. Again, thank you everybody for joining me, and please remember any of the comments that you just left here as I'm doing this live. You will those comments will disappear, and you're gonna have to re-comment after this video posts. I don't know why it does it that way. I see we got 13 thumbs up. I got 30 people watching. 13 thumbs up. I could really use some more thumbs up. If you guys want to boost me up and give me that thumbs up, or my trolls, please give me a thumbs down. Yes, I said trolls, please give me a thumbs down, because YouTube doesn't matter. They don't care whether it's a thumbs up or a thumbs down. They just see you watching my video. They see you pushing the buttons, and they see you commenting, which boosts up my ratings. So thank you all. Make sure that you're a subscriber, so when I do go live, you can see. So click that little bell on top, little notification bell that will tell you when I post videos or when I go live. As I said, make sure you leave a comment below. And as somebody just brought up, if you feel that my content is something that you really like, if you feel what I'm doing is something that you like, if you want to help me with my gas, with my travel expenses, if you want to buy me lunch or buy me dinner, or if you want me to take my wife out to eat, please find my link below to PayPal, make a donation. If you'd like, I will acknowledge that donation online in a live stream just like this. I'm not afraid to. I'll tell you exactly what I got. And with that, I'm bidding you a fair night. Have a beautiful night wherever you are. Get out, do something, be involved, go to the courts, watch these cases, go to your commissioner, go to your county meetings, and be a part of it. Without public's involvement, these people can do anything they want to do if nobody's watching them. Have a great night, everybody. Thanks a lot for joining me. Stay tuned tomorrow, day 7, here in Iron River, well, here in Crystal Falls, for the Iron River Laura Frizzo versus David Thayer. You get the idea. Have a great night, everybody. Peace out.